Do you know anything about this, and you don't got to name people obviously, but this so-called Goon Squad around Suge Knight, these kind of like group of enforcers?
All of us.
Mm-hmm.
You had the homies, and you had Reggie Wright, Right Way Security. Two different entities. Reggie and them had carried their legal firearms. We did street shit. We couldn't conduct ourselves or wouldn't conduct ourselves the way Right Way did it. We were, if it happens, we getting down. Those are goons, period. And everybody that was on death row, that was from the neighborhood, was ready to go, outside of maybe two of them clowns that was from the neighborhood. Wasn't gonna do shit. And it's unfortunate that you got two ain't shit out of 20, out of 25. So the hood was the goons.
Yeah, one of the cases that was attributed to them in the files was the murder of Rat, who was a bounty hunter who had apparently kind of pressed up on Suge, tried to get him to...
Bounty hunter Rat was for real. He didn't try to do nothing. He did it. He got his money. He dealt with Suge. Suge kept a lot of him and Rat business pretty much tried to himself because of the way Rat was getting at him. And mind you, Rat was a straight street dude, little street dude. And Suge wasn't ready for that. And Rat been in prison with the majority of the homies that was on death row. You know what I'm saying? Rat know them, they pedigree, and he know theirs.
What was Rat trying to, what did he want from Suge?
Well, he was getting his money. I don't want to implement, nobody, but Rat would come up there and get his money. Money that was owed to him, legit. And he got it. And didn't nobody stand in his way. A lot of cats stopped Rat. No, we can't let you do that. Whoop, whoop, whoop. No, you can't do it that way. But Rat walked out of there at the end of the day with his money. Suge can't deny it. Nobody from the hood can deny it. Rat came and got his money, and he got his money, and he went on about his business.
Did you hear why Rat eventually was taken down?
No, I don't know nothing about that.
One other story I did was on Mark Anthony Bell, this promoter who had worked with Puffy before, had grown up with him, that got beat up by Suge and Tupac and some gangsters. Dre was supposedly there, present, but didn't really participate. But they took him up to a room at the Death Row Christmas party and kind of beat him up and roughed him up, and they were trying to find out where's Puffy stay when he comes out to LA, where's his mom stay, stuff like that. Suge goes into the bathroom and comes out with a glass that Bell believes is full of urine. And Suge hands the glass of piss over to Bell, and lucky for him, Gold Teeth hits him again, and this makes him drop the glass, and at that point he makes a break for it. Did you ever hear anything about that?
Yep. To my understanding, the dude was there thinking nobody knew who he was, and he had his ears and eyes open, ear hustling and all this. He walked into a situation, wasn't ready for it, and he was spotted. And then he wasn't ready to do. For number one, the motherfucker ain't gonna take me nowhere. I'm already knowing there's a possibility I ain't coming out. Nigga, you're gonna have to have me right here. He didn't do that. And then when he got to where he was took to, he told it all. He didn't have to get his ass whooped on, but like I said, there was a lot of people that at Death Row got touched just because, after the fact. So, shit happened.
There was a guy that Bell described in the room, he described him as Gold Teeth. And Compton was never able to figure out who that was.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
I mean, here again, he's been interrogated, he's been beat up, he's drinking on PP. He been his clothes ripped off of him. How is you paying attention to one person in Pacifics, and then now you can identify that one? That one had to have been the one beating the shit out of you, right? And I don't believe that there's nobody on death row with a gold grill. Not in California.
Yeah.
So, could have been a woman. Y'all ought to do stories on street life and how the street really goes, how the street moves. It's more interesting than a Tupac and Biggie story, because like with death row, every man on death row, every Piru that was on death row had a gift. And they handled themselves well. The only thing I say about us, and when I say this, I don't want them to get it twisted, us, we was lacking this on death row. Our mentality was prison, war, and whatever the fuck. And a lot of people came to death row and had to be victims of that. Looking at it right now today, a lot of people that got their ass whooped at death row, I feel sorry for them. I really do. It was a terrible place to be. Some of the artists felt it. A lot of the guys that came to death row and thought they were rah-rah felt it. A lot of people came to death row, had to prove they gangster. And they fell at the wayside trying to do that. Because you had motherfuckers, real people, real gang members was ready to go the extra mile. Haron, truly, ready to die for death row. Suge, my brother Buntry, ready to die and believed in death row. I used to argue with him all the time. You really think Suge finna buy you a house, motherfucker? And me and him didn't talk for months because he truly believed that.
One more thing on the bell beating. The gold teeth guy made references to Jake Robles' murder, and basically saying this is for our friend that died. It seems like the Robles murder in Atlanta was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back in the rivalry. So
no, it was already going there. It was at its peak. It just didn't explode. And when that happened, it was on. You know what I'm saying? Some of them guys don't want to say that they got caught up before that. Some of our people don't want to say that they caught Suge here and there. Now what I can tell you, through that whole beef, Suge and Puppy was hooking up. Suge and Puppy was talking. And I believe that they believed that the war was good for them. They both benefited off of the East Coast, West Coast thing, because now you got gangbangers involved, you got beatings involved, you got now murder. And it's crazy because after all that, we all turned on each other. They benefited though.